Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Perreault with 5 Realty, and this is your Portland Metro market update for the week of August 18th, 2026. Every week I sit down with the freshest numbers about real estate from across the whole metro area so you can make decisions based on what's actually happening right now, right here, not what happened 3 months ago or what some national headline is telling you is happening in the whole United States. Stick with me for the next few minutes. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or just keeping tabs on your home's value, because this week's data tells a really clear story. Let's start with supply. Active listings came in at 8,508 this week. That is up slightly from the prior week's 8,475. And here's the interesting part. It is almost exactly where we were at the same week last year when active listings sat at 8,504. That's a difference of just 4 homes across the entire Portland metro area, including Vancouver, Washington. When I see a number that flat, it tells me inventory has found a rhythm. We are not in a supply crunch like a few years ago, but we're also not seeing a flood of new inventory that would tip leverage heavily towards buyers. We really are in a balanced market. New listings for the week came in at 606, down from 651 the prior week, and down about 1.6% from the 616 we saw during the same week a year ago. Of course, measuring only 1 week is a little difficult, which is why I use the rolling basis. Sellers are pacing themselves a bit here, which is fairly typical as we move through August and start eyeing the fall market. On a rolling 12-week basis, active listings are averaging 8,188 compared to 8,307 during the same period last year. Obviously a little smaller number. So the bigger trend is a slight cooling in how fast inventory has been building, even though this week's snapshot looks essentially flat year over year. What does that mean if you are thinking about listing your home? It means you're not going to face a dramatically more crowded market by waiting a few weeks, but you also are not getting some kind of head start by rushing to list before more competition shows up. The bigger factor, as we will get into, is how you price relative to what is actually selling right now. Now let's talk demand. Homes sold jumped to 479 this week, up 4.6% from the prior week's 458. That is a solid weekly increase. Compared to the same week last year when 528 homes sold, we are down about 9.3%. Now, weekly sold counts bounce around a lot, so I never want anyone reading too much into a single week's year-over-year comparison. That is exactly why I like to look at the rolling 12-week average, and here is where it gets interesting. On that measure, we are averaging 557.7 homes sold per week. On that measure, we are averaging 557.75 homes sold per week. Not sure how you sell 3/4 of a home, but compared to 522.25 during the same period last year. That's where the other quarter home is. That means the underlying trend is actually running ahead of last year's pace, even though this particular week came in below its year-ago comparison. Total pending sales held nearly steady at 3,062, just a touch above the prior week's 3,053. New pending sales dipped to 584 from 612 the week before, landing about 5.3% below the 617 we saw a year ago. Put all of that together and what you get is a demand picture that is stable. It is not surging and it's not falling off a cliff. Buyers are still out there, still writing offers, and still moving forward on the right properties and the brightly priced properties. So let's move into pricing, because this is where the story gets nuanced. Average sale price came in at $643,786 this week, essentially flat compared to the prior week's $643,632. Compared to the same week last year, when average sale price was $629,251, that is a gain of 2.3%. Median sale price, though, tells a different story. It came in at $556,000, down 0.7% from both the prior week and the same week last year, when it also sat at $560,000. Here's why that divergence matters. When average price climbs while median price holds flat or dips slightly, it usually means a smaller number of higher priced sales are pulling the average upward, while the home right in the middle of the pack, the truly typical Portland metro home, is selling for roughly what it was a year ago. On a rolling 12-week basis, average sale price is running at $648,870 compared to $637,972 a year ago, while median sale price sits at $568,064 versus $579,732 last year. So if you're pricing a home right now, lean on the median, not the average. It is a much closer read on what a typical buyer is actually willing to pay for a typical home. Now, of course, there's a caveat here. This is the median and the averages across the whole Portland metro, not the big difference, let's say, between Hillsborough and Lake Oswego and Gresham and Camas. So you need to have someone like me run the medians for you for all the area immediately around your house and for similarly sized homes. Now let's talk about price reductions. And this connects directly into our next topic, which is days on market. Reductions over the past 7 days totaled 970, up from 916 the prior week and up 4% from 933 during the same week a year ago. Reductions of $15,000 or more numbered 492, up from 457 the prior week, but down 1.4% from 499 a year ago. Now remember, our supply is basically pretty steady, so there's slightly more price reductions compared to last year. Nearly 1,000 reductions in a single week across the metro tells you something important. A meaningful share of sellers are still recalibrating their initial list price, which was apparently aspirational, after finding out the hard way what buyers are actually willing to pay. And that leads directly into what I consider the single most important number in this entire report, the gap between average and median days on market. Average days on market this week came in at 59, exactly flat compared to 59 during the same week last year. Median days on the market, though, came in at 27, down 15.6% from 32 a year ago. That leaves a 32-day gap between the average and the median. I call this the two-speed market, and it's the clearest evidence I can show you of what's actually happening out there. Homes that are priced accurately and presented well are selling in under a month. A smaller group of homes that are overpriced or have some other challenge are sitting for 2 months or more, and those are the listings dragging the average number up. Now, if they have some other kind of challenge, you need to adjust your pricing for that. You can't say that I'm going to get the same price as the guy down the street when I'm on the corner of busy street and busier street and he's in a little cul-de-sac. You have to take account for where the home is located, what the overall condition is, what the floor plan is, all of that good stuff. And that's where an expert like me comes in. On a rolling 12-week basis, average days on market sits at 55.4, up 18.3% from 46.8 a year ago, while rolling median days on market sits at 20.4, down 3.2% from 21.1 last year. In other words, the fast lane is getting faster and the slow lane is getting slower, and the gap between them keeps widening. If you are selling, the lesson could not be more direct. Price to the market from the very first day your home is live, and you dramatically increase your odds of landing in that 27-day group instead of the 59-day group, or even worse. My best advice to all sellers is let's figure out what it's probably going to sell for and let's price it a tiny bit under. Because when buyers are looking on Zillow, and trust me, buyers know as much about your particular neighborhood, if that's where they're shopping, as I do, they can look at the price and look at the specs on your house and say, wow, that looks like a deal. And then they'll come and see it, and then they'll fall in love with it, and then more people will do the same thing and will hopefully still get a bidding war. We do have them here. I had one just the other day that was three offers on the same little piece of property. Let's wrap up with sale to list ratio and rates. Average sale price as a percentage of asking price came in at 99.56% this week, up slightly from 99.49% the prior week. Median sale to list was 99.64%, down a touch from an even 100% the week before. Average sale price as a percentage of original asking price, which factors in the price cuts along the way, was 96.97%, down down from 97.4% the prior week. We started tracking this metric back in January of this year, so we do not have a full year-over-year comparison yet, but the pattern is consistent with everything else we have covered. A median ratio sitting right around 100% confirms that well-priced homes are consistently finding buyers willing to pay close to asking price. On the rate side, OnPoint Community Credit Union's 30-year fixed rate held steady at 6.500% this week, completely unchanged from the prior week, 0.6%. On a rolling 12-week basis, the rate has averaged 6.396%. We only started tracking rates back in February, so a full year-over-year comparison is not available yet, but the current level has held in a fairly narrow band since spring. And the reason I use OnPoint is that it's a local credit union. Most of the other credit unions in the area track pretty closely to that, but this is the one that's really local to Portland area. So it's a good benchmark. If we look at Wells Fargo national rates, it's sometimes 0.2% higher than what OnPoint is quoting, or what Wells Fargo will actually quote you if you go into the office. So when you see some interest rate on a website like Rocket Loans or something like that, you can probably do better with a local bank because Portland's interest rates are not quite as high. So if you've been waiting for a big move in either direction before making a decision, that stability is itself useful information. Today's rate is not likely to look dramatically different next week. So here's my read heading into next week. Every metric we've covered points back to the same underlying story. This is not a market moving uniformly in one direction. It's a market splitting into two very different experiences depending on how a home is priced. Do not try to be aspirational in your pricing. It doesn't work in this market. You've got to attract the attention to get the people in there, and then we can negotiate with them. But if they don't come to see it, you're going to sit on the market and you're ultimately going to end up getting less than you would have if you priced it correctly in the first place. That 32-day gap between average and median days on market is the number I would point to if you only remember one thing from this video. It is not shrinking, it is widening. For sellers, that means leaning on real, current, comparable sales, not what a similar home sold for 6 months ago. And of course, similar might be similar in your eyes, but as a realtor, we might realize all the things that make it not similar. For buyers, it means patience still pays off. Well-priced homes will move fast and may draw competition, but a softer market for overpriced listings means there is real room to negotiate on the properties that have been sitting. With rates holding steady near 6.5% and inventory leveling off rather than continuing to climb, the conditions right now reward good pricing strategy and preparation over waiting around for something dramatic to happen. That is exactly the kind of strategy conversation I have with clients every single day, matching real-time data to a real plan for your specific situation. I really believe in having a strategy, not just putting it in the MLS, putting a sign in the ground and pray, which is the 3 Ps. I have said this before and I will keep saying it because it holds up week after week. The market rewards preparation far more than it rewards guessing. Sellers who walk in with a pricing strategy grounded in this week's actual numbers and the 12-week rolling average, rather than last spring's numbers or a neighbor's asking price from a year ago, are the ones landing in that fast-moving group of homes. Buyers who understand where the real negotiating room exists and where it does not are the ones writing offers that actually get accepted without overpaying. If you want to talk through what any of this means for your home, your budget, or your timeline, give me a call or send a text. My number is 503-683-1885, and you can find the full written breakdown of everything we covered today at pdxhomesforsale.com. If you're ready to start browsing with what is actually available right now, head over to LaurenPerreaultRealtor.com and search live MLS listings. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you back here next week with another fresh look at the Portland metro market. Take care.